Today, we're diving into one of the most thought-provoking films of recent years, The Menu. It's not just a thriller about a luxurious dinner on a remote island. It's a layered satire that mocks the elite, critiques consumer culture, and asks a deeper question. What truly holds value? The art itself or the people who consume it? In this video, I'll break down the hidden meaning behind each dish, the character's behavior, and the ending that leaves us with more questions than answers. The film draws heavily on symbolic themes that echo religious and spiritual ideas. Course 1. The Island. Each dish in the menu isn't just food. It's part of a carefully crafted story. The descriptions are poetic, and they slowly unveil the deeper meaning behind the entire evening, step by step. For the first course, the chef says,
"Over the next few hours, you will ingest fat, salt, sugar, protein, bacteria, fungi, various plants and animals, and at times entire ecosystems."
It's a reminder of how all life is connected and how we're literally tasting pieces of the world around us. Then he says something important.
Do not eat. Taste, savor, relish. Consider every morsel that you place inside your mouth. Be mindful, but do not eat.
That's where the real message starts to hit. Most people rush through life, commuting, eating, sleeping, repeating without really tasting any of it. We consume our days without asking, what does this life actually taste like? In a way, the film is offering a reflection. The world provides everything we need. Nature is generous, rich, and complete. The only thing left is for us to slow down, be grateful, and truly enjoy the time we've been given on this planet. Course 2. The Breadless Bread Plate. By the second course, we're already seeing the creator's disappointment, or perhaps even quiet judgment. Traditionally, bread symbolizes something sacred. In Christian culture, it represents the body of Christ. It's even part of the daily prayer, "Give us this day our daily bread." The chef references how ancient Greek farmers would eat stale bread soaked in wine, a humble, grounding meal. So what does it mean when the guests are served a bread plate without bread? It's a statement, a reflection of modern emptiness. People today are obsessed with presentation, with looking successful, curating an image, showing off brands and status. But the foundation, the real substance, is missing. The plate is just like the people at the table. Beautiful, curated, full of dips and fancy sauces, but ultimately hollow.
No bread.
No core. Course 3. The Taco. This dish is designed to trigger memory. The wine paired with it is said to bring a fleeting sense of nostalgia, tinged with sadness and regret. And that makes perfect sense. Most people look back on the past with a bittersweet feeling, longing for moments that are gone, or reflecting on mistakes made, or things left undone. What if I had chosen differently? That quiet question that haunts so many. In this course, the tortillas come printed with something deeply personal. Images from the guests' lives, their secrets, misdeeds, and moral failures, their regrets laid bare, the kind of things people only confront at the very end, or never want to face at all. One group of guests, the finance bros, ask,
"How did they get these?"
And the answer,
"I'm sorry, but Chef never reveals his recipes."
That moment says it all. In front of something greater, a higher power, a reckoning, nothing stays hidden. No matter how carefully you try to bury your past, it knows. It always knows. Course 4. The Mess. In ancient Greek philosophy, chaos wasn't just disorder. It was the raw, unshaped beginning of everything. Some believe the earth itself was formed from chaos, along with powerful forces like Gaia, the earth goddess, and Eros, the god of love. Chaos meant entropy, scattered, unstructured energy. But without chaos, there can be no creation, no order. From chaos, the universe carved out structure, like earth rich with life and love. Love, in that sense, is the most meaningful and constructive energy there is. Humans often crave stability. We chase perfection, trying to craft lives of order and control. We want the flawless song, the perfect face, the ideal life. But the universe always drifts toward entropy. Without chaos, there's no growth, only stagnation. And here's the bigger question. Do we even want perfection? Nature isn't perfect, but it's breathtaking. The world was made from selected, meaningful energy. It left out the rest. That's why every snowflake is different, every leaf unique. That's where the wonder is. The chef in the film understands this. He says,
And even when all goes right and the food is perfect, and the customers are happy and the critics are too, there is no way to avoid the mess. The mess you make of your life, of your body, of your sanity, by giving everything you have to pleasing people you will never know.
Perfection without love is doomed to fall apart. True creation, divine creation, is driven by love. And if we forget that, even the most flawless things will eventually collapse. So maybe the answer isn't to fight chaos, but to use it, to shape it with intention, with care, with love. The tea. As the chef serves tea, he says it helps soften the taste of bitter truth. And isn't that true in real life? When something difficult happens, we offer tea, or maybe a drink, something warm. There's even science behind it. When we're under stress, our bodies draw heat inward to protect vital functions. Our hands get cold, we shake. Energy is scattered. We try to recover that energy by warming up with tea, with alcohol, with a hot bath or a blanket. It's instinctive. We're trying to feel safe again. At this point in the dinner, the guests are under real emotional stress. They've been forced to look at who they are, to face the bitter truth about their lives, how far they've drifted from meaning, from love, from the original purpose of life. There's no escaping it now. And so, the tea becomes a small act of mercy, a brief moment of warmth after a cold, painful realization. Clarity follows pain. And in this case, the tea represents that clarity, a balm for the soul, a calm after the storm. But the dinner isn't over yet. Course 6, Man's Folly. For centuries, spiritual traditions, particularly in the form they've come down to us, placed strict limits on women. In many societies shaped by this thinking, a virtuous woman was expected to stay home, obey, give birth, be quiet, endure, and never question the structure around her. If a woman showed intelligence, curiosity, or independence, learned herbal medicine, read books, or simply wanted more from life than domesticity, she was often labeled dangerous. Over time, this imbalance locked away feminine energy, along with authentic spiritual wisdom. It created a world driven almost entirely by one side, a world out of balance. And what came of it? Endless conflict, blind pursuit of power, a system worshiping wealth and control over empathy or growth. The truth about the feminine, about its power, had to be hidden, because if it was acknowledged, the systems built on male dominance might collapse. And none of this ever had anything to do with true spiritual intention. That's why this course, Man's Folly, is so important. In the film, the male guests are given a chance to run, literally, a symbolic escape. But of course, you can't outrun your own foolishness. Sooner or later, it catches up. Meanwhile, the women sit down at one table, unified. They laugh, they share. They taste the dish together, Man's Folly. This moment is filled with layered meaning. In real life, you'll often see groups of women joking about their partners, softly critiquing their flaws, but also excusing them. I usually hate foam, but this one's different. It's a way of saying, he's not perfect, but he's mine. It's a form of survival, making peace with disappointment, dressing it up as charm, quietly coping with what they're not allowed to change. And in doing so, often reinforcing the very dynamics that hold them back. There's a moment when one of the female chefs, the only one who stepped into leadership, begins to cry as she hears these compliments, not out of pride but pain, because those words reflect a shared sadness, the collective acceptance of limitation, the cage that's been normalized. What this film shows through each dish is that the real ingredients of the menu aren't just food. They're people, flawed, raw, layered. The menu is life itself, imperfect, unpredictable, full of mistakes and desire and contradiction. And each character represents something deeper, not just traditional sins, but modern forms of corruption, vanity, apathy, hypocrisy, cowardice, all exposed in the dining room. Each course isn't just a meal, it's a mirror. And with man's folly, that mirror reflects both the system and the silent permission that kept it running. To know but not to do, the tragedy of Tyler. Tyler represents a very specific kind of person, the one who knows everything but does nothing. He's obsessed with greatness. He idolizes the chef, quotes him, studies every detail of his craft. Yet he can't cook, not even a little. He's not a creator, just a fanboy of creation. There's a saying, so smart, why aren't you successful? That's Tyler in a nutshell. He has all the right words, all the right theories, but none of the soul, none of the courage, none of the action. He's a follower, the kind of person who watches inspiring speeches, nods along, posts about it online, and then changes nothing in their own life. There's a reason one ancient commandment says, do not make idols, because when you worship someone else too much, you forget your own power. And the only true God, if there is one in this story, is the human being, the creator of their own world. But Tyler isn't that. He's consumed with other people's lives. He watches greatness from the sidelines. He clings to someone else's voice instead of listening to his own. He never becomes the author of his own life. The broken sauce. There's a brilliant metaphor in this part of the film, the split sauce. A guest obsesses over a sauce that didn't emulsify properly. One tiny detail, one mistake, and instead of enjoying the entire meal, all she can see is that. The kitchen even starts bringing her bigger and bigger bowls of that broken sauce, a symbol of what happens when we focus only on what's wrong. And that's the real lesson here. What we pay attention to multiplies. If you constantly seek out the flaws, the negatives, the imperfections, guess what? That's all you'll see. That's all life will seem to offer. The breakdown of family. The film also touches on another broken bond, romantic relationships. One guest loses his finger, the one with the wedding ring. Symbolically, it's a judgment. He broke a sacred vow. He wore the ring but didn't live up to what it meant. And so, even in this elegant, refined setting, betrayal is stripped bare. The ring stays on the severed finger, because love without loyalty is just decoration. And I saved dessert for dessert. The chef's final words mark the end of the dinner and of everything it represents. As he looks around the room, he says,
You represent the ruin of my art and my life. And now you get to be part of it. Part of what I hope is my masterpiece.
And in that moment, we understand the depth of his despair. Each guest, in their own way, represents a betrayal not of him but of themselves. A loss of love, a loss of integrity, a loss of meaning. And so, the creator prepares a final act, a cleansing fire. The dessert is terrifying in its irony, perfectly arranged, yet soulless, just like the world he's condemning. Chocolate sourced unethically, artificial sweeteners, a mass-produced graham cracker. It's a symbol of everything we've done wrong, everything hollow, manufactured, and disconnected from real nourishment. The word apocalypse doesn't actually mean destruction. It means revelation, a moment of truth, a great unveiling. Yes, in biblical terms, it's tied to judgment and catastrophe, but also to rebirth. And that's exactly what's happening here. To make space for something new, the Creator must destroy what no longer serves. From the ashes of this cold, calculated world, something raw and honest might rise.
We must be cleansed, made clean, like martyrs or heretics. We can be subsumed and made anew.
Thank you.
His final act is one of both wrath and love. He confesses his devotion to something greater, to truth, to beauty, to lost love. And the fire answers him, because true love, divine love, doesn't just comfort, it burns. But the question remains, who survived? Who walked away from the ritual, unstained? Who reclaimed their hunger, their voice, their power? The answer, of course, is Margot, the only guest who didn't belong, the only one who saw the madness for what it was and chose life. But that is a story worthy of its own final course. For me, the real dessert is Margot, because within her character lies the soul of the entire film. And, in many ways, she's the film's most powerful spiritual symbol, a direct reference to ancient mysteries that continue to echo in modern culture. Margot, a red-haired escort, immediately evokes a familiar figure, Mary Magdalene, the one who, in certain interpretations, wasn't a sinner at all, but a sacred woman, possibly even the wife of Jesus. You've likely heard the theory. You've probably even looked at Da Vinci's The Last Supper and noticed something odd, that the figure to Christ's right, supposedly John, looks very much like a woman. Some say that figure is Mary Magdalene, and just like Margot, she doesn't belong at the table, but ends up at the center of the mystery. The silver door. Remember that hidden room in the chef's house, the one with the image of a woman on it? Feels like a metaphor, a symbol of what's been silenced, hidden, forbidden. Throughout history, feminine power has been repressed. Red-haired women were burned as witches. Symbols of female divinity were erased or rewritten. Mary Magdalene was transformed from beloved companion to sinner. The man became holy, the woman became shame, but Margot reclaims that story. There's also a striking moment of rivalry that mirrors a deeper archetype. When Elsa, the chef's devoted assistant, says,
You will not replace me.
it sounds personal, emotional, almost jealous. In certain Gospels, it's said that Peter, one of Jesus' apostles, was jealous of Mary Magdalene. He asked why Jesus spoke more to her than to the rest. In the menu, we see a similar tension. Elsa questions why Margot was invited into the kitchen, why the chef gave her special attention, why she was allowed to see what others weren't. It's not just rivalry, the sacred envy. Margot is the only one who doesn't pretend. She sees through the illusion. She chooses authenticity over performance. She doesn't worship the chef. She challenges him. And for that, she is the only one who walks away. She is the unburned. She is the flame that survives the fire. Margot reminded the chef of something he had forgotten, that at the beginning, before the craft, the critics, the chaos, there was love. That's the real secret of life. The truth buried beneath all the flavors, courses, and theatrics. the ability to find beauty in everyday moments, just being and finding peace in enough. Margot's lesson is love, not romantic love, but the kind of love that shows up in stillness, in simplicity. While everyone else chased status, applause, or validation, Margot asked for a burger. She didn't need anything more because she remembered what truly matters.